Hello, everyone. Welcome to Smart City Summit. My name is Joshua Oshowo. Welcome to episode 3 of Smart City Summit. And I have here on this session Dr. Okanlawon Jolayemi. He's an amazing expert in the field of smart agriculture. And before he comes on this show to start speaking about this topic that makes food available efficiently for everyone, I would like everyone, wherever you're listening from, just go into your comment section. You're listening from YouTube, LinkedIn, go into your comment section and write your name, Dr. Joshua, and put a comma and write the location you're listening from, either Oklahoma, Nigeria, whatever state or country you're listening from. We are happy to have you. My name is Joshua Oshowo. I'm the managing director of Smart City Mall Africa, and where you can get any smart device, solar device, and security devices, along with installations anywhere in Africa for your works and for your businesses. We are open to ensuring that Africa has smart cities with good agricultural systems for everyone to produce effectively and make Africa feed Africa with ease. So welcome everyone. Welcome everyone. Wherever you are, please put in the comment section your name and where you are listening from. Welcome. Okay. Welcome, Gaye from England. Any other person in the comment section, please put your names in there. We are listening from. In case you are not hearing us clearly, please write in the comment section that you're not hearing clearly. Welcome. This is going to be an amazing session. I am sure of that. Going to be an amazing session. Welcome, Mr. Benga Falodun. Welcome. It's going to be an amazing session. So ensure that wherever you are, invite your friends. It's going to be amazing. Even before it comes on, there's a lot to learn about smart agricultural systems. There's a lot to learn. Welcome, Ashadi Adiola. Welcome from USA. Welcome. It's going to be an amazing session. So ensure you invite your friends, share the link. We are live on YouTube at Smart City Mall Africa. We are live on YouTube also at Joshua Oshowo. That's my name. I put my name on the screen right now. So just ensure that you go there and tell your friends, subscribe right now. Tell your friends to go to the session right now. It's going to be so amazing. The topic is now on your screen: smart agriculture, smart and sustainable agriculture. How smart can Nigeria be? You can basically even apply to your country if you are from any other nation in Africa. How smart can your country be in the field of agriculture? We'll be sharing pictures, we'll be sharing slides, we'll be sharing every content in this session. It's super going to be amazing. So please ensure you get your notepad, fix your internet, get your attention, because it's going to be mind-blowing. Watch out for this session, everyone. And in case you're watching the recorded session, please don't miss out. Ensure that you are ready. Invite your friends, your clan, your school, everybody to listen to this session. It's going to be amazing. Welcome, everyone. So right now, I'll be adding Dr. Okanlawon to the screen right now. So ensure that wherever you are, tell your friends it's about to get hot. Welcome, sir. Can you hear me clearly?
Yes, very well. I can hear you.
Thank you. So can you tell us a little bit about you, sir, for those that don't know you?
All right. My name is Okanlawon Jolayemi. I am a Nigerian, and I have the privilege of studying agriculture, precisely plant science, from Obafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife, for both my bachelor's and master's. And then I worked with Africa Rice, which is also located in IIT campus in Ibadan, before I secured a PhD position in Sweden at the Swedish University of Agricultural Sciences, which I'm currently rounding off. So currently I reside in Sweden. That's all I would say about me.
Amazing, 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 amazing. I love the switch from Nigeria to Sweden, even though they defeated us some years back in the World Cup. Well, that's amazing. That's amazing. But sure, there's a winning mentality that comes with Swedish technologies, which I
Yeah.
love so much about them. I love so much about them. There's a lot to learn. You can imagine, you can see the move from one of the top universities in Nigeria to Sweden. And when you talk about PhD, you talk about the private highest degree, that degree that separates you among in your industry. So everyone, wherever you are listening from, we didn't get people that won't speak value to you. So you have come to enjoy value on this great day. So ensure that you write everything you can get and ensure that you watch this video over and over and over again. You can see it once, but you need to hear it twice, or to stick into your brains and get to implement it. So ensure that you feel you ask any question, even though it's not said on this session. We have a huge number of faculty that are ready to answer your questions. This platform is full of engineers all over the Africa, well trained with 10 years plus experience in these different fields of smart city. So they are willing to answer your questions even beyond the scope of this session. So fill the comment section. You are welcome. All right, sir. So we'll be handing over the stage to you right now to go 30 minutes and above as you want to, but they are giving us value and value back to back. Welcome, sir. Welcome, welcome. Over to you, sir. Tell us a bit about you more, and then the stage is yours. Thank you, sir.
I'm trying to bring up my presentation. Yes. Is it visible? Can you see the presentation? The PowerPoint? Mr. Joshua, please confirm if you can see the PowerPoint. Please, you can confirm if you can see the PowerPoint from the audience. Okay, I can see not yet. Mr. Joshua is not online. Okay. Okay, I can see not yet. Mr. Joshua, I can see the PowerPoint, but the audience cannot. So you have to help us fix that. Mr. Joshua, I'm not seeing you here yet. Anyway, if you can hear me clearly, perhaps I'm going to start, and then after the whole activity, there's a possibility that I will share I will ask Mr. Joshua to make the PowerPoint available to everyone. Is that okay? Confirm if you can hear what I just said. Yeah, Mr. Joshua.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. I have shared
Yes,
my
I can hear you. Can
PowerPoint.
you hear me?
Yes, now I can hear you.
You're
But
trying to
the
share your
audience are not
slides?
seeing it. Yes.
Okay.
Okay. So audience, please confirm if you can see it. All right, I think you should be able to see it now.
Yeah, I can see it. You should be able to see it too.
Okay.
But please write in the comment section if you can see the slides.
Yes. So once again, I want to welcome all of us from different region and part of the world. I can see people from the United States. I can see my friends from the UK. I can see people from Nigeria, from Germany. Yes, thank you, Benga Falodun. Yes, you are welcome. And tonight we'll be talking about smart and sustainable agriculture. How smart can Nigeria be? And you will see on top of my slide, interchangeable arrow. You know, I was battling with the choice of sustainable first before smart, smart before sustainable, whichever way. The interesting thing is that we can both be sustainable and smart. There are conventional agricultural systems that are sustainable but not smart, or not as smart as others. But the point here is just that these two keywords can be combined in agriculture, and that is why I decided to leave it that way. But the focal point tonight is the fact that how smart can Nigeria be? Matthew Ajibola, you are welcome. I particularly want you to be here because I'm going to be talking about him later on in the latter part of this presentation. I have introduced myself earlier, but maybe for some of my friends that are just joining, I hold a bachelor's degree in plant science from Obafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife, and also had my Master of Philosophy in the same university. And currently I live in Sweden because I am rounding up my PhD at the Swedish University of Agricultural Sciences. The name of the university is SLU, but what I said in English is Swedish University of Agricultural Sciences. So this is in Swedish word, and it means Siveria Landsbruk Universitet. So that's why it's SLU, but don't bother about that. Before leaving Nigeria, I worked at Africa Rice Center, which is located on the same campus as IITA in Ibadan. And then I located to Sweden for my PhD. And briefly, I had worked with Luzgoda. It's a vertical farm here in Sweden, and is one of the practical experience of smart agriculture that I had. So let's go on. In the course of this presentation, we will talk about agriculture. And interestingly, most of us on this platform are people who have who are agriculturally inclined. And then we'll talk about some of the factors and challenges of production. We'll talk about sustainable agriculture. Then we'll talk about smart agriculture. And then we'll round it up with how smart can Nigeria agriculture be. Now, when we talk about agriculture, the simplest definition that I can give to it is that human activity that provides all our basic needs. And when you look at the basic needs of man, food, clothing, and shelter, and that is what agriculture offers. When a man needs to eat, everything about food, is produced by agriculture. And before the advent of synthetic fiber, synthetic, cotton and all of that, the larger part of our clothing and textile is generated from agriculture. And interestingly, it is still being done till today. And even in part of the world where there is very intense cold, like the Nordic region in Russia, you see people wearing animal fur. So it is also part of agriculture. And then building and shelter. Maybe some of us will be thinking, oh, but we use concrete. And no, it will interest you to know that there are buildings, in other countries of the world that are purely made from wood, especially in this temperate climate. It was recently I heard that it is easier to insulate wood compared to concrete. And that's why some houses in this part of the world are purely made from timber. And then they bake it with different insulation and all that. So when we talk about agriculture, just think of any activity of man that can produce or provide the basic needs of humans, which is food, clothing, and textile, and shelter. And then there are some factors of production that makes agriculture possible. And three of those, there are three categories. First, there is an environmental factor. Then there is the genetic factor and also the technology part. In this environmental factor, we have the climate, we have water, we have the soil. And in the soil, we have the nutrients and, other stuffs. Then in the genetic part, we have the cultivar itself. And then we have diseases and pests that interact with our crops. And then the technology part is basically the cultural practices, the different cultural practices that the farmer engaged in. And in the current world that we are in, there are some challenges to food production. And this has become, a very serious thing that the whole world is currently fighting to manage. All of us have heard about global climate change and all of that. And this picture you are seeing here is about the world population. You will see that we have here on the x-axis, and as you go from along the years, you will see an increase in the population of the world. And you will also see a color code indicating that it's getting reddish. That's to tell us how, voluminous we are getting in this in the world at large. And there is a projection that by 2046 it's going to be above 9 billion people that will be living on this surface of the earth. And what that means is that the increase in the number of people will be demanding more spaces to live in, and at the same time will also be competing for food. So this number of people, we need a place to sleep. And at the same time, the same amount of land, the land we have is not increasing. In fact, the land we have is even shrinking from what we have, from the data we have. So, but, we're having this increase in number of people, and then we are competing for space, we are competing for the available resources, there is more pollution and all of that. And when you also see this second picture, we see the effect of global climate change. The Arctic region is melting, so which means all the heaps of ice that we have is turning to water. And in some areas or regions of the world, we are having excessive flooding, whereas in some other parts of the world, it is excessive drought. This year alone, in fact, currently, up until last week, there is issue of flooding in Pakistan. There is Hurricane Ian in the US from Cuba and all of those places, everywhere is flooded. And one interesting news this year was that in southern Sudan, maybe about a month ago, it was in the news that they were having excessive drought, and all of a sudden it became excessive flooding. So these are the challenges that the world will be facing, and we have to start thinking as scientists, as stakeholders in the agricultural business. How do we combat these issues that we have? And that is what is going to lead us to sustainable agriculture. Anywhere you hear the word sustainable, there are three key things that are involved: the social aspect of human life, the economic aspect, and the environment. These are the three things that culminate into sustainability. So when we talk about sustainability, we are looking at how does this activity enhance human social life, how does it boost our economy, and how does this activity also enhance the health of our environment. Now, looking at the problems we saw earlier, we need more food. And the interesting part is that we have limited resources. Now, we have to use our discretion, so to say, to ensure that we try as much as possible to recycle some of the resources we have, because they are limited. We should not just use them and throw them away. We have to look for a means to recycle them, and of course we have to adopt precision agriculture and smart and all of that. And that is what is bringing us to smart agriculture or precision agriculture. In this presentation, we'll be using the word interchangeably. There are some school of thought who believe that there is a difference between the two, but when you analyze them in the end, they are very, very close. Now, what is smart agriculture? This is the application of technology for food production. And here, what we mean about technology is the use of artificial intelligence, robotics, and drones, which are mounted with sensors and different cameras, to collect information and to help our system of farming. And I believe many of us have been seeing different things, in that light. Some of the pictures in the background, you will see a tractor. I remembered visiting Wageningen University for a conference, and there was this tractor that was mounted with different cameras, and when you drive it across your field, it can take pictures and identify crops that are diseased, for instance, or with low moisture content and things like that. So this is the smartness that we are talking about. So one area of the smart agriculture that we want to look at is field monitoring. It's an important aspect of agriculture. Just like we saw in the problems, we are having different changes in climate and all of that. And we need to monitor all these climatic factors. We need to know, is it going to rain? Is it going to get hotter and things like that? When I was in Nigeria, I didn't realize how important it is to check weather on a daily basis. But interestingly, coming here, anytime you want, in fact, every time you need to step out, whether from your office to wherever or from your house to where, you have to check the weather, especially in Sweden, because it is quite crazy that when you check your weather, it's 4 degrees, and maybe after 1 hour you are thinking of going out. If you go out with that same mentality, you just discover that the weather has dropped, is now minus whatever. So, I mean, in agriculture, we need this kind of information to monitor events. There are some activities in agriculture that you cannot do when it is raining. For instance, you want to apply your herbicide, and let's say it's a foliar application, and after doing it, you now discover that one hour later, rain falls. Then, before you know it, it has washed off your herbicide, and then it's not going to be as effective as you would want it to do. So if you have information, you have a weather data that has shown you that in the next 10 days, this is how the whole thing is going to look like. Even though it may not be very accurate, but at least you have an idea. You can plan your time, plan your activities on the field and all of that. And then because of the issue of drought and all of that, there is also need for irrigation. And for people who are doing irrigation at this time, what we see is that they just lay their pipe, release the water, and and you remember that in the previous slide we talked about managing limited resources. Water is becoming very limited, very limited. So it needs to be used, wisely, so to say. And how do we do that? The best way to do it is to automate it. And you don't just also automate, you automate with the intention to only release the needed amount of water that the plant needs. And that's where smartness comes in. So if you put, moisture sensors, for instance, in your field, then it can give you moisture data, let's say every 5 minutes or whatever. And then from your computer, you have already informed it that when the moisture is less than 2%, for instance, you have to irrigate. So the artificial intelligence or whatever programming you are using knows what to do. So you don't need to go there or do anything. It just irrigates with the amount of water needed per time, and then it stops. So this is where smartness comes into agriculture. And then on this side, we have disease detection. There are lot of applications and cameras that has been designed to detect, to take early detection of diseases on the field. And what they do most of the time is that cameras are mounted on drones or some kind of sensors, and then your drones go around, take pictures, different blocks, and then automatically it is analyzed, and you have already trained your program to know if a leaf is looking this way, it is possibly going to be that. If it's looking that way, it's going to, you understand? So this is the smartness we are talking about. Then you don't have to wait until maybe after quite a long time before you now discover that, oh, my plants are on LD, they have been attacked by fusarium, and then you have to, so this is where smartness comes in. But one big part of this smart agriculture is also that you can have smart analysis. All this information you are collecting from the field, weather data, irrigation, disease, and all of those can be converted to figures that you can monitor on your field. You can see how things are looking. You can see, for instance, you want to know which of the days or weeks or months you spend so much on irrigation. You can analyze all of those things. You know the driest time or the driest week. So definitely you know that at that point you have, irrigated so much and all of that. So you generate a lot of data that can give you an impression of how much you are making and possibly how much you will make and things like that. So these are part of smart agriculture that is quite interesting that we need to know. Just like I showed earlier, the factors of production, you remember the environment, genetics, and technology. There are different aspects of all these environmental factors that sensors can be developed for. And that is where one of the, the smartness or the smart parts. For instance, nutrient and water or irrigation, there are sensors that can be used to detect how much water is in the soil or in your growing medium, for instance. Then it will inform you how much water can be added. Then there are different cameras that can also inform you about the growth of your plants, diseases, and all of those things. There are sensors for temperature, sensors for soil nutrients. This EC is electrical conductivity, and it is directly proportional to the amount of nutrients you have in the soil. I've talked about moisture, relative humidity. There are sensors for all of these things. So when you put your sensors, maybe on your field or your greenhouse, and then you collect data repeatedly on these things, it will help you to make wise decisions on what to do on your field or on your farm. So one beautiful thing about smart agriculture is that it is applicable on the field. It's applicable also in the greenhouse. And the most recent kind of farming is vertical farming. And here you have excellent application of smart agriculture. And one of the major factors for smart agriculture, we are gradually getting to the point where we want to discuss how to apply it to the Nigerian setting. So one of the, three major important factors for smartness is fast and reliable internet facility. We need it, at least to collect real-time data and all of that. We need stable electricity using renewable energy. And of course, you agree with me that from the Nigerian context, we are still lagging behind in this area, and maybe also a little lagging behind in reliable internet facilities. And just as I have mentioned, smart agriculture entails, or we generate a lot of data. So we need a place to store it. So these are the factors that smart agriculture needs. And that's where I'm going to be asking for the consent of some of the engineers in the house if we are really ready for some of these factors. Then now adapting into the situation of Nigeria, we need to develop our own sensors. I don't know how much sensors cost in the market, but I know Matthew Ajibola is doing a lot on sensors. Paul Akinde, my friend, is also doing a lot with sensors. So, but the point we are making is that we have to develop our own. If we develop our own, perhaps they will be cheaper or whatever. At least it will be adaptable to our own climate. Then I'm very sure that we also have to develop software programs or applications that can monitor and collect data, that can perform farm operations and all of that. And some of these sensors and software must also be compliant with GIS. Geographical Information System. That is, they should be able to track a place, a location, maybe on the field, for instance, exact location per time when they are collecting data. Then, of course, any kind of sensor that can give us information on weather and climate is also something we have to develop by ourselves. So this is my last slide, and it's just showing us, for instance, this picture up here. We can see a drone that is spraying herbicide. We can see a robot here that's harvesting tomatoes. We can see this field. This individual has his smartphone collecting real-time data on the field because there are sensors in different parts of the field. So that is the last slide. And as I mentioned, I have 2 tech guys in the house. I don't know if there are other people. Yes, now I can see my friend Ojediro Alababolaji is also a tech guy. So, Matthew is currently working with a lot of sensors that are directed towards agriculture. And I know Paul has been a design engineer at Momas Technology. They are the ones responsible for design and development of our prepaid meters in Nigeria. And I know he also worked with a lot of sensors and embedded technology and all of that. So I think that is the end of this slide. And I want to say thank you so much for listening. I don't know if Mr. Joshua Oshowo is online, so we can move on from here. Otherwise, you can start writing your questions and comments in the chat box. Thank you very much for listening, everyone. Mr. Joshua is not here. Perhaps he's having some troubles with internet connectivity from his end. But please write your comments and you can write your comments or questions as the case may be, and let's talk. Oh, Mr. Joshua is gone again.
Okay. So can you hear me?
Yes, now I can hear you.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Thank you so much for the great value that you gave us here. Amazing, really amazing. So I believe some people have some questions to ask you. So I would like to open the floor for anyone that has questions. I've learned a lot on some analysis to why we need to create sensors. And one thing I tell people that ask, why do we have to get things from outside Africa to Africa? What I answer them is simple. First, we have to increase quality of what comes to Africa. Then the next question is now start having stakes in their companies and give them more demand for their products before we can start saying that we want to make or assemble first. When we start assembling the sensors, programming the sensors in our own way to suit our own kind of land and things like that.
Yeah.
Then we can now go into the area of manufacturing. So if we first quality before assembling, then manufacturing. And afterward, we can now say we have our base on this kind of sensors in this kind of agricultural fields, helping our farmers. You say there's a good way to, it's a good long way to go, but having the quality products come in is very, very important to us. So that's my own, I don't take much of their time, but does anyone have any question? Sweet Bean Farms, Mr. Benga, Mr. Paul, Mr. Vincent. If you have any question, please kindly put in the comment section. We have about 1 minute for that. And before we round up. All right, all right. So, okay. Okay. There's a question from Mr. Benga. Can you see it, sir?
Yes, I can see it. Thank you, Benga Falodun.
Okay.
Yeah. I think one of the first thing we need to do, for instance, from the cocoa farming end, is first to identify what are the problems that you want. For instance, you want to make smart. Are we looking at the drying part or the harvesting, or so if our engineers know what area of the cocoa production pipeline is having a challenge with smartness, then they can develop something that is suitable for the cocoa. But I mean, there is no aspect of agriculture that cannot be that we cannot apply sustainability and smartness to. For instance, I know that cocoa, you have to, spray it and do all of those things to prevent them from disease and all that. And I don't know how long it takes for farmers to go from tree to tree, for instance. So with that, we can have drones which can do that job, that will just fly over your cocoa farm, spray whatever chemical you want to spray, and also perhaps take pictures to identify if there are black pod disease and things like that. And maybe when you harvest, we also need some robots that can, harvest your pods or open your pods. You may also need some aspect with drying, for instance. So, any part of the pipeline of production, you can apply smartness and sustainability to it. So that's the what I can say. But first, identify what are the problems, and then perhaps bring in different engineers, different people who can look into that aspect. So thank you, Mr. Benga. Otherwise, we can also discuss afterwards. My question from Mr. Vincent, my question is getting into smart agriculture, not capital intensive. Well, I wish the engineers in the house can help me with this, but I know that it's going to be capital intensive. But I think in the end, when we look at the gains that we are going to have, for instance, imagine if you are not applying smartness to your agriculture and you have a maize field, for instance, and you are losing up to 50% of your harvest. And while you apply smartness, you are gaining something. Now, when you look at the gains and the loss, you will discover that eventually, for instance, if a drone is going to fly over your field, let's say 10 acres, it may do that in less than 1 hour. But if you have to hire laborers to carry a sprayer and move one after the other, from one end of the field to the other, you may do that for another maybe 2-3 weeks. And sometimes when your back is hurting, those guys may not do it effectively. So when you look at the pros and the cons, you discover eventually that you are going to gain more. But in the initial step, you may have to incur some cost, which may look like they are going to be capital intensive. Another interesting thing is that maybe once you buy the sensor, you may not have to be buying them every year, so to say. So, some of those questions are for our engineers in the house, but somehow we cannot get them into the discussion, we cannot hear their voice. Mr. Jediro is saying that we are making progress in Nigeria regarding internet connectivity. Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Mr. Vincent is also pointing out that for small-scale farmers, yes, for small-scale farmers, it's going to be capital intensive. And whether you like it or not, more than 60% or even 70% of the farmers we have in Nigeria are small-scale. And more than 90% of those are even farmers that didn't go to school. So these are part of the challenges we have in Nigeria. And that's why the topic is, how smart can Nigeria be? But interestingly, there are a lot of, I don't want to say revival in the agricultural sector in Nigeria. We're having young minds, young people doing some very great innovations in the Nigerian agricultural sector at this time. There are those of them who are, forming cooperation, so to say, with these local farmers and introducing them to new ideas and things like that. So, so these are ways by which we can really become smart. So for an individual farmer or a typical average Nigerian farmer, it will be very expensive. It will be meaningless. But for the young guys we are having currently in Nigeria, it's something worth thinking about. And I will also mentioned that there's a lot of greenhouse farming going on in Nigeria, soilless farms and all of that. So in a way, that is some level of smartness, but we need to, improve on them by introducing sensors for data collection and all of that. I'm also seeing Mr. Jedron's comments, though slow, but the penetration metrics is picking up gradually. Thank you very much for that. Mr. Falodin is also saying there are 4 major challenges with cocoa sustainability: weather, disease, soil nutrients, and drying, which usually increase the okay. So now looking at all of this, in fact, it is very, very smartness is very easy for them, so to say. Now, one of the things we have to do for the weather aspect is to have weather sensors on the field that can give us real-time data collection. And for instance, if you open your Google weather, it can give you an estimate of 10 days ahead. So this is, you don't need too much, so to say, So, but when we have sensors on the field that can give us real-time data, you can get your temperature, your, sunlight and all of that. Then for the disease aspect, we perhaps need to also use drones, just like I've mentioned. There are drones that are mounted with each cameras. Now, when your each camera takes a picture, it can identify leaves that are not as green as the others or that are having some deformation, such that when you analyze the picture, you get, different colors. So some of us have seen heat maps before. It may range from red, very red, to very green. And it will give you a scale telling you that the very red is the bad ones and the very green is the good ones. So when you have drones that can take pictures like that, and once you slot it into your picture analyzer, it will give you that picture. You just know that the tree A is having this problem compared to tree B. Then you know what to do. Oh, there's a problem with the leaves of leaf A and things like that. And another tricky part with these heat cameras is that a diseased leaf, the temperature is always warmer than the normal leaf. So it can also, analyze the picture based on the temperature, the leaf temperature at that time of collecting the picture. And then once you see it, you know that this leaf is having a problem. So you can analyze based on the intensity of the redness that you get from that picture compared to another. And then with that, you can know, okay, it's time to spray, or this one is really bad. We may not expect so much from it and all of that. So then for soil nutrient, there are also a lot of sensors. Electrical conductivity sensor, soil temperature sensor, soil moisture sensors that can be installed in different parts of the field. Then knowing that most times we may not have, flat land on our field. So you will expect that if you are having the hilly part of your field, will not have as much nutrients as the valley side. So with that, you can estimate, maybe you need to do more with fertilization, or, just it will help you to plan, so to say. Then the drying part, I know that I've seen dryers from using solar, and I think it's one of the cheapest natural resources that we have. So we have engineers in the house or people who can help us design some of those things. I've seen that used for garri frying, for cooking, and all of those things. Yes, I'm seeing sweet vine farms. My question is, how can we access this smartness in agriculture in Nigeria, most especially the use of drones and robots? Yeah, I know that there are different tech guys that are working on some of these things. I've been following one guy on LinkedIn recently, but unfortunately, I don't remember his name now. But there is one guy on this platform. His name is Matthew Ajibola. So I would recommend Sweet Vine Farms to look for him. He's on LinkedIn. Matthews Ajibola. He's doing a lot with sensors, especially automated irrigation. He has done that in IITA. I've seen some of his pictures of the work he did. So you can talk with him if there are things, that you want him to do, or you just have an idea of, or you want to get an idea of some of those things that can be done. But I know, I mean, there are some guys that are working on that now in Nigeria. I can tell you that. And fortunately, Ajibola is in Ibadan, so you can track him. And I know Sweetvine is also in Ibadan, very close to ITA. So, Guy, you mentioned sensors during the talk. How are their data transfer? Yeah, I think the data transfer is actually real time. You can sit back in your office and then you get your data, while you are sitting immediately, so to say. You can get it on your phone, you can get it on your on different devices that you have. So there are programs that you can check that the sensor is connected. I don't have all these technical IT terms, but you can get your data real time. You don't have to go there maybe after the end of the day, then plug in your USB to collect information or whatever. But once the sensors are there, I know they are connected somehow with internet facilities, and you can have it real time, either on your phone or your tablet or your system. Then Mr. Gbenga is saying using of chemicals in cocoa farm requires port application. I'm curious how drones, could do that. Yes, I can say that it is also possible to have a robot. It may not be a drone this time. A robot that can go, that can run through the corridors of the cocoa plantation, but still it will have a camera on it, such that as it's going, it can picture maybe the tree and knows that, okay, you would have trained, the cameras would have been trained to know that any leaf having this shape or this color is likely diseased, and then it will just spray and move on. So there are robots that goes on the field. They are mounted on tractors. The farmers just drive them through, and what they do is with their camera sensors, they pick, they check through different plants, for instance, wheat plants, and they know the moisture content of every individual. And once they analyze it, all of these things happen in the space of seconds. They analyze the moisture content. Once the moisture content from the analysis falls short below a particular amount, they just drop water and then they move on. So we can also adapt the cocoa farming with, the cocoa special area, which is spot application to this kind of thing also. So it may not be with the use of drones, but maybe a robot that will go from tree to tree. Are there sensors wired? Okay, are the sensors wired or wireless? Most of the ones I've seen, Mr. Guy, they are wireless sensors. Yeah, from our vertical farm, the loose Goda that I mentioned, they are all wireless sensors. They are installed in different chambers. And then from our computers, from our phones, we can assess if there's a problem with temperature or whatever. And sometimes, not that we will always intentionally want to go into those programs, but when we see that there is a problem, for instance, some of those sensors are also, they also have alarm system. So for instance, the temperature sensors, we have trained the system. We want the temperature to be between 22 and 25. When it is +2 after 25 for more than 30 minutes, raise an alarm. So before you know it, from our offices, we just get an alarm, and then we know which particular room it is. We go there and then check what is happening. So most of them are wireless sensors. Yeah, and I think Mr. Paul has also helped me with Guy's question. There are data collection centers in the cloud where the farm size data, crop data, etc. would have been saved. Data could be collected on GPRS. Okay, so those are, all the big terms. But thank you very much, Mr. Paul. And I can also see Babalogbon, sunshine is abundant in the tropics. How can this solar oven be built or accessed cheaply? Yeah, so that question is actually for our tech guys. And Matthew Ajibola has done, I mean, I saw the picture of his automated irrigation in ITA, and it is off-grid. I could see solar panels in the background of that picture. So I know it is possible, but I don't know how expensive they are. But one interesting thing I know is that by the time there are a lot of activities around solar panels, or building solar, whatever, I believe that the price will come down. So that's one thing I think is possible. But unfortunately, we are not able to, talk one-on-one. But at least thank you everyone for, your contribution. Matthew, please, if you can also help me say more on the comment section with what Maltrack Babalogun has said. And I'm so excited to see all my friends and, from different parts of the world, and everyone that has joined tonight. Thank you so very much. I cannot see Mr. Joshua online now. I hope he's not having some connection issues. Any more question? I guess no question. Thank you, Mr. Vincent. Aha. Thank you, Benga Falodun. Now, Guy and Paul Akinde, I think you guys should connect. Mr. Paul, Guy is a PhD student and is doing a lot with power system. And Guy, Mr. Paul, is also a power person. He works with a company in Nigeria that is designing prepaid meter. I mentioned it earlier. And he has worked a lot with all these embedded technology, sensors, and things like that. So I know you will understand each other's language. So you can talk. Thank you, Babalogbo. Thank you so much. And thank you, Mr. Vincent. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Benga Falodun, the Coco Man. Thank you, Mr. Paul. Thank you, Mr. Guy. Thank you, Sweet Vine. Thank you, Mr. Bolaji Ojediran. Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you, Krista, for joining. Krista is joining from Germany. Mr. Joshua, you're welcome back.
Can you hear me?
Yes, very well.
All right. I was hearing you, but I guess the network issue.
Okay.
All right. So, thank you so much. I am so happy you have gone through the questions. Though I would like to just answer a few post questions. So when you say, when you speak up, when someone asking about that is not capital intensive. So the question about capital intensive is relative. Well, watch out for Smart City Mall social media channels, Smart City Mall Africa social media channels. Making an announcement very soon in a couple of months before the end of the year about power solutions that will be on a partnership level for those who have a corporate organization and want to get power into their systems. So I encourage, if you're a researcher, you are into the field of agriculture, incorporate your company, ensure you have a structured system, and watch out for good power solutions coming up very soon that will give you sustainable power, because where there are challenges, there are also bigger opportunities. So I want to ensure that wherever you are listening from, don't lose hope. There are opportunities coming out already by towards the end of this year on solar, on wind, ensure that power is regular. And for those that don't know, that will feel that solar is expensive, what I would like to let you know is this: if your cultural system is maybe a 9 to 5 system, so maybe it's from around 9 a.m. to about 4 p.m. in the evening, you don't have to invest really on batteries and things like that. You can basically invest on panels. There are panels that are called mono panels. They start charging from as early as 7 a.m. in the morning and even till about 5, 6 p.m. in the evening. So you don't have to go buy expensive poly panels which you don't charge. So understand the different kind of panels that work better for you and for your business. So I believe that that would help that person. As regards, someone was asking about, try to look at that question. So solar open is one of the easiest to build. It's one of the easiest to build. You can send us a DM on Smart City Mall Africa. One thing about Smart City Mall Africa, we are currently only doing B2B businesses right now, is that you can go to the platform Smart City Mall Africa. I'll try and put it on the screen, and request for a customized quote that suits you and suits what you want to power. So you don't have to start struggling on how to get the right installations or how to get the right products. What we basically do here is we connect the installers around Africa that are around your region to you. So you can find the products, you can find the installers without having to go far and wide, pay people their transport fare, while the people that are skilled in those things are around your surroundings and can do it for far cheaper prices for you. So we understand these scenarios and we believe that you can do more. So please reach out on social media channels, Smart City Mall Africa, or on my personal timeline on LinkedIn, Joshua Oshowo, and we'll answer your questions and help you out. So don't go quiet. Don't believe that Africa is struggling and cannot solve your challenges. For people to bring international help outside the country, it means that there's more to be seen here in Africa. There's something they saw in Africa that makes them fly in on their plane every weekend or every month to come and explore. So don't believe there's nothing. Ask the right questions on our social media channels. We'll get to answer you as soon as possible so you don't get to struggle. In case there are no more questions, we'll just round it up in about 2 minutes from now. But I don't just, does anybody have any other question that you feel doctor has not yet answered, and we get to answer that in 1 minute? All right. Okay, someone has a question. Let me see that. Okay, so Sir Paul is saying something here. I don't know where you can see it, sir. He's saying that LoRa could help cover a radius of 3 kilometers to 5 kilometers of your farm using various sensors attached to LoRa modules at your base as collection center. Thank you. So that's an amazing information. I think I can put it on the screen right now. Yeah. So everyone, Google about LoRa. Check out what LoRa is about. Help yourself. You can also put it in the comment section on LinkedIn or YouTube, and we get to help. I know Sir Paul personally, and he has been a very, very great mind in the industry of technology and automation. So everyone, wherever you are, check out LoRa. They are also, you mentioned my friends Tribe Agri on the in their collection systems of different farmers around Nigeria. So it is very, very, a lot of things are happening in Nigeria right now. Yeah. A lot of tech is going to the system. Yeah. I know Professor Indubisi introduced this smart pH meter. This is something like that. I remember that earlier on. And there are many solutions coming out. You just have to be very, very open. Constantly do your research. There's one thing I did for my staffs as regards anything smart. So we created what they call a Google Alert system. So this will help researchers around. There's a Google Alert system. You can just Google it, alert.google.com, alert.google.com, and then you can get to put an alert on the particular kind of devices you are looking for.
Mm.
So whenever that word comes up on Google, you will get to find the information about that device. So you don't get to miss the opportunities when it's available in Nigeria or around your space, because they don't know that you need it, but people are talking about it. So feel free to check online, put an alert on Google for that device, for that component, or you can go on our social media channels, or request a customized code, and then we get communicated to you and make things better. So, sir, is there any other thing you'd like to just tell us about lastly, or maybe how we can reach out to you, how people can reach out to you and benefit from your programs, consulting, and things like that?
Well, let me just say thank you one more time to everyone who has attended, and thank you, my host. It's a very great honor coming up here. I am on LinkedIn, on Facebook, I think those are the major social mediums that media that I am on, and you can always find me there. Always, just many of us on this platform have my private WhatsApp, and it's also fine. We can discuss, we can talk and discuss about issues and all of that. So please just always feel free. I can see one question. I don't know if it's a question from Stagbenga Falodun. This question just pop up. The known soil nutrient analysis now is using Lamot soil kit. Can there be any sensor to do this? Yes. Some of these soil kits are just like sharp. How do I put it? Solution. They are quite good, but there are a lot of sensors, especially any EC sensor, electrical conductivity. There is one that I found from on the website of an Israeli company. It's about 1 meter device, and then all you need to do is to insert it, in your field, and it will give you real-time data for soil moisture content, soil temperature, and soil EC. So for instance, if you want to know how rich the soil is, you just look at the EC value. The lower the number, the lower your soil nutrients, and the higher the better. So with that, you can know, okay, with this EC that I have, I cannot grow maize on this field, for instance, and then you know what to do, that you need to apply fertilizer and all of that. And if you have high EC, then that means you may not necessarily invest in fertilizer and all of that. And I can see Mr. Benga saying Lamont is stressful and boring. So I mean, there are a lot of sensors that can do this. Some of them can go as deep as 1 meter, and there are several different ones that are short ranged. And one interesting thing is that I think the first 15 centimeter or 20 centimeter thereabout is the active soil, so to say. So there are sensors that can do that. But of course, we have different soil kits, soil analysis kits, and all you need to do is collect your soil sample, maybe shake it, and then soak it in one solution, and then it will give you some coloration, and and there are other stuffs too. But there are a lot of soil sensors that can give you that. Thank you very much. Mr. Joshua, there are no more questions on the comment section.
All right. Okay, then. So thank you, everyone, for coming on this session today. I believe we have all learned amazing works in smart agriculture. Feel free to reach out on our social media channels. You can also follow Mr. Dr. Okanlawon Jolayemi on LinkedIn to ask your questions, and I believe he'll be willing to answer you and give you value. Thank you, everyone, for this session. God bless you, and have a fulfilling day or night wherever you are. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Dr. Okanlawon.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. God bless you.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Have a wonderful day, everyone. Thank you so much.